November 18th, 1274, Komoda Beach, the island of Tsushima. 80 samurai stand on the white sand, 80 men of flesh and bone facing a horizon that is literally darkening with 20,000 Mongol warriors. The silence is heavy, broken only by the crash of waves and the tightening of leather armor. In exactly 3 hours, this beach will not be a battlefield. It will be a site of total devastation. The samurai world, as it exists, has exactly 180 minutes left to live. But to understand how we reached this point of absolute desperation, before we charge into the fray, if you are obsessed with uncovering the dark, tactical realities of the past, make sure to strike that subscribe button right now. This catastrophe doesn't begin with a sword stroke. It begins with ink. We must rewind 7 years. A solitary messenger arrives on the shores of Japan, clutching a document sealed with the imperial mark of Kublai Khan. This is the most powerful man on the planet, the grandson of Genghis Khan. The emperor who has swallowed all of China, who has silenced Korea, who has expanded the largest empire the world has ever known. And now, his gaze has drifted to 4 islands in the east, the land the Mongols call the rising sun. The letter he sends is simple, brutally simple. It reads, "Since ancient times, rulers of small countries have sought to maintain friendly relations with great nations." It is a velvet-wrapped threat. We have conquered the known world. Now, we extend a hand to your shores, send ambassadors, pay tribute, or face the consequences. It is not an invitation, it is a sentence. The Kamakura shogunate, the military government controlling Japan, reads the letter. They reread it, and then they do something that no other kingdom conquered by the Mongols has ever dared to do. Something that defies all military and diplomatic logic. They ignore it. Absolute silence. No ambassadors, no tribute, not even a polite decline. But Kublai Khan is not a man accustomed to being ghosted. He sends another letter, and another, and another, for 6 years. Mongol messengers cross the Sea of Japan, carrying the same increasingly volatile message. 6 years of ignored warnings. 6 years in which Japan essentially tells the most terrifying military machine in history, "We are not interested in your friendship. We are not interested in your trade. And we are definitely not interested in being your vassal." It is a display of absolute bravery, or perhaps suicidal arrogance. Because here's the problem. Japan has never been invaded. Never in its entire history. No foreign army has ever set foot on its soil. The samurai are formidable warriors. Yes, but their combat experience is limited to internal clan warfare. They fight by the rules of Bushido, one-on-one duels, honor on the battlefield, announcing your name and lineage before striking. The Mongols have no concept of Bushido, and they do not care, while Japan sits in its proud silence. Kublai Khan is preparing something the Japanese cannot even comprehend in the ports of Korea, specifically in Masan and Happo Bay. An invasion fleet is rising from the water. 900 ships, 900 vessels of war designed to transport 15,000 Mongol and Chinese warriors, plus 8,000 Korean soldiers forced into service. 23,000 men armed with weapons Japan has never seen, utilizing tactics they do not understand. driven by a military discipline that has crushed everything from Eastern Europe to the Pacific. The Mongols do not fight for honor. They fight to win. They use toxins on their arrows. They attack in swarms. They do not announce their names. And they possess something that will terrify the samurai more than any blade. Gunpowder. Iron spheres filled with explosives, launched from catapults. When these devices detonate, shrapnel flies in all directions. The sound is deafening. The psychological impact, devastating. Japan knows nothing of this. While the Mongols assemble their armada, the samurai sharpen their katanas. They practice their archery. They meditate on a dignified end. They have no idea that honor is about to become irrelevant. October 1274. The fleet departs from Korea. 900 ships cutting through the gray waters of the strait. Sailing east. The destination is not random. It is calculated. They are heading for the island of Tsushima. Why Tsushima? Geography dictates destiny. Tsushima is the gateway to Japan. A rugged, mountainous rock sitting precisely between the Korean peninsula and the main Japanese island of Kyushu. It is the choke point. If you control Tsushima, you possess the foothold. You have a base from which to launch the final assault on the mainland. If Tsushima falls, the door to Japan is kicked wide open. On this island, life is governed by the seasons and the sea. Defending it are approximately 80 permanent samurai. 80. They are under the command of the Jito, the military governor, a man named Sukuni. These are not soldiers in a barracks. They are men with families. They have wives, children, and peasants under their protection. They oversee temples and rice fields, maintaining a way of life that has existed in isolation for generations. Sukuni is a man of tradition. He understands local disputes. He understands the harvest. He does not understand that a geopolitical hurricane is about to make landfall on his doorstep. November 18th. The atmosphere shifts. The men stationed on the coast notice the horizon is changing. It is not a storm front. It is canvas. Hundreds and hundreds of sails billowing in the cold wind. The Mongol fleet appears like a nightmare manifesting in the waking world. The lookouts sprint from the shoreline, lungs burning. To inform Sukuni, the governor climbs a high coastal cliff and looks out. He begins to count. 10 ships, 20, 50, 100. He stops counting. The numbers are meaningless. There are simply too many. Sukuni knows basic arithmetic. 80 defenders against thousands of invaders. The options laid before him are stark. He can surrender, hoping for mercy from a force known for having none. He can flee to Kyushu, abandon the island, and warn the shogunate. Or he can do the unthinkable, stay, stand, perish. This is the moral dilemma that defines everything that follows. What is worth more, existence or reputation? Because Sukuni and his men know, with absolute certainty, that if they stay, they do not survive the sunset. There is no doubt about the outcome, but Sukuni calculates the strategic cost if they flee. Tsushima is taken without a single arrow released. The Mongols gain a secure, pristine base of operations, and most critically, if there is no resistance, the shogunate in Kyushu will remain asleep. They will not know the true scale of the threat. They will assume this is a raid. Perhaps a pirate in Kherson. They will not know it is a full-scale invasion until it is too late. Sukuni makes the decision. They will stay. They will stand. And in the process, they will send a message that will take days to reach the mainland. But it will be undeniable Japan is under attack, and the enemy is unstoppable. The Mongol fleet makes landfall on Komoda Beach. The first boats grind against the sand. The warriors leap into the surf. And this is where the cultural collision begins. The samurai, raised on the etiquette of duels, expect a certain rhythm to the combat. They expect to identify a worthy opponent. Takizaki Suenaga, one of the warriors under Sukuni, rides to the front. He is eager. He shouts his name to the wind, announcing his lineage, his achievements, challenging a Mongol general to single combat. He expects a response. He expects a duel. Instead, he receives a volley. The Mongols do not hesitate. They do not posture. They simply release. Hundreds of projectiles darken the sky. Suenaga feels 3 impacts almost instantly. One in the shoulder, another in the thigh. The third takes down his horse. He crashes into the sand, rolling in agony. He is about to meet his end on this beach without ever crossing swords with a single enemy. This is not a battle. It is an organized clearing operation. The Mongols fight as a unified organism. When a samurai charges, 10 Mongols surround him, striking from all angles with spears and hooked polearms. No duels, no glory, just brutal, industrial efficiency. And then, the samurai hear it. A high-pitched whistle tearing through the air, followed by a thunderclap that shakes the earth beneath their feet. The gunpowder bombs, iron spheres the size of a human head, launched from the decks of the Mongol ships when they impact. Fire erupts. Metal fragments fly in all directions like 1,000 invisible daggers. Horses panic, throwing their riders. Men scream, clutching at wounds they cannot comprehend. Some of these samurai have never heard an explosion in their lives. They believe it is sorcery. They believe it is the thunder of the gods. It is worse than that. It is technology. It is the widening gap between a civilization that has been in constant warfare against half the globe and an island nation that has only ever fought itself. Sukuni watches from his position as his men are eliminated one by one. He sees the Mongol formation advance like a rising tide, methodical and unfeeling. He grips his katana. Tradition dictates that when defeat is inevitable, a warrior may choose seppuku ritual self-termination to leave this world with dignity rather than fall by enemy hands. Sukuni chooses neither. He charges straight into the center of the Mongol formation. His remaining men, 23 survivors, follow him in a last desperate surge. They shout. They wield their steel. They throw themselves against a wall of shields and spears. The Battle of Komoda lasts less than 3 hours. 80 samurai gone. The Mongols suffer casualties. Yes, but they are minimal. Maybe 100 men. To the Mongol commanders, this was not a battle. It was a warm-up exercise. They now control the beach. They disembark the rest of the force. 20,000 warriors step onto Japanese soil for the first time in history. The invasion of Tsushima has truly begun, and the silence of the 80 defenders is replaced by the roar of an empire on the march. Step 3, Act 2, the strategy and the engagement trap. Tsushima is silent. The 80 defenders are gone, but the Mongol war machine does not pause to celebrate. It turns its gaze to the next stepping stone, Iki Island. Here, the story repeats itself with terrifying precision. 100 samurai under Taira Kagetaka. They fight, they fall. Kagetaka, realizing the hopelessness of his position, retreats to his castle and commits seppuku along with his family. 2 islands, erased from the map in less than a week. Now, the fleet turns toward the mainland. The prize is Kyushu, specifically Hakata Bay. News of the slaughter reaches Dazaifu, the administrative capital of the region. The governor, Shonisuke Sune, is paralyzed by the reports. These are not pirates. This is an extinction event. He mobilizes every able-bodied warrior. Samurai from across the island begin to converge on Hakata. They come with their ancestral armor, their longbows, and their unwavering belief in the code of the warrior. But here's the tactical mismatch that will define this war. The Japanese way of war is ritualistic. It is a dance. You find an opponent of equal rank. You announce your heritage. You loose an arrow. You engage in a singular, honorable contest of skill. It is warfare designed for internal disputes between noble houses. The Mongols practice warfare designed for annihilation. They do not pair off. They move in tight phalanxes, shielding their archers who rain poison-tipped arrows from a distance. They use drums and gongs to coordinate movements, maneuvering thousands of men as a single entity. And when the Japanese cavalry charges, the Mongols simply open their ranks, swallow the horsemen, and close the trap. Imagine you are the Japanese commander standing on the ridge overlooking Hakata Bay. You see 20,000 men landing on your shores. You know your soldiers are trained for duels, not mass combat. You know your enemy has superior range and explosives. You have 2 choices. Do you order your men to abandon their honor, abandon the way of the samurai, and fight a dirty, guerrilla war in the mountains? Or do you order them to stand their ground on the beach, maintaining their dignity and tradition, even if it means certain destruction? Pause the video, scroll down, and comment your answer right now. Guerrilla war or honor on the beach? I want to know if you would trade your soul for survival. With the decision made, the armies collide. November 19th, 1274. The Battle of Binai begins. The samurai charge down the slopes toward the shoreline, screaming their challenges. They are met with a wall of noise. The Mongol drums beat a rhythm that drowns out the Japanese war cries. As the first wave of samurai hits the Mongol shield wall, they are repelled with brutal efficiency. The Mongol infantry uses long spears to hook the samurai from their horses, dragging them into the mud, where they are silenced by maces and short swords. Then the sky lights up. The catapults on the Mongol ships loose their payload. The Tetsuhao, the thunder crash bombs. They arc over the front lines and detonate among the Japanese cavalry. The explosions tear through the formations. Horses, terrified by the fire and the roar, throw their riders and trample their own lines. The samurai are in chaos. They are fighting an enemy that strikes from a distance, an enemy that refuses to engage in swordplay, an enemy that uses fire as a weapon. By late afternoon, the Japanese line is breaking. They are bleeding ground, meter by meter. The superiority of the Mongol tactics is undeniable. The samurai are brave, arguably the bravest warriors on earth. But bravery cannot stop shrapnel. As night falls, the Japanese commanders order a general retreat to the ancient fortifications at Mizuki. Miles inland, they leave the beach to the invaders. Hakata Bay burns. The first day of the invasion of Japan ends in total, catastrophic defeat. Night descends over Hakata Bay. The Japanese defenders, battered and demoralized, retreat to the hills. They light their watchfires and wait for the dawn that will bring their extinction. But out in the bay, the Mongol commanders are making a different calculation. They are exhausted. Their supply lines are stretched. And the sky is turning a color that veteran sailors fear more than any army. The wind begins to howl. Not a breeze, but a roar. The Mongol generals, fearing their ships will be smashed against the rocks if they stay in the shallows, order a withdrawal to open water. It is a tactical retreat to ride out the weather. It becomes a death sentence. The storm that hits that night is not a squall. It is a typhoon. A Pacific hurricane that has been gathering fury for days. It slams into the fleet with the force of a hammer. 900 ships are tossed like toys. Hulls shatter. Masts snap. Thousands of men, invincible warriors on land, are swallowed by the black water. When the sun rises, the bay is not filled with an armada. It is a graveyard of splintered wood and silence. The Mongols are gone. 13,000 men never returned to Korea. Japan has survived, not by strategy, not by strength, but by a miracle. They call it kamikaze, the divine wind, but miracles rarely strike twice, and Kublai Khan does not accept defeat. For 7 years, Japan transforms. The shogunate knows the enemy will return. They construct a massive stone wall, 2 meters high, stretching 20 kilometers along the coast of Hakata. They train, they wait. And in 1281, the horizon darkens again. This time, it is not 900 ships. It is 4,000. 500. It is not 20,000 men. It is 140,000. The largest invasion fleet the world will ever see until D-Day. 6 centuries later, they slam against the Japanese wall. For weeks, the samurai hold the line. They fight with a desperation that borders on madness. Boarding Mongol ships at night, engaging in brutal hand-to-hand combat on the decks. But the numbers are against them. The stalemate cannot last. The Mongols prepare for the final, crushing blow. And then, on August 15th, 1281, the impossible happens. The sky turns black. The wind screams. A second typhoon, infinitely more powerful than the first, strikes the fleet. It is a cataclysm. 4,000 ships are obliterated. Men are crushed against the cliffs or dragged under the waves. The bay churns with the wreckage of an empire. When the storm clears, the invasion is over. The remaining Mongols are hunted down on the beaches. There is no mercy. The legacy of this moment is etched into the soul of the nation. The Mongols, the unstoppable force that conquered half the world, were stopped by the wind. The belief takes root. Japan is the chosen land. The gods will not allow it to fall. It is a myth that will fuel the nation for 700 years, arming them with a sense of invincibility that will last until the atomic age. But on those beaches, amidst the debris and the fallen, the lesson is simpler. Nature is the only true conqueror. The blood on Komoda Beach dried centuries ago. The wooden hulls of the Khan's armada have long since dissolved into the silt of the ocean floor. But the storm did not just break ships. It forged a national psyche. For 650 years, the belief held firm. The gods protect this land. No foreign invader can stand against the divine wind. It was a shield of faith that hardened into armor, leading a nation through centuries of isolation and, eventually, into the fires of the 20th century. The Mongols turned back, their empire reaching its absolute limit at the water's edge. Japan moved forward, convinced of its own divinity. But history asks a cruel question. Was it truly the gods, or was it simply the weather? Does destiny favor the brave, or does it just favor the lucky? The 80 samurai of Tsushima did not know a storm was coming. They did not know they would win. They only knew they had a choice, run or stay. They chose to stay, and that choice, multiplied by thousands on the beaches of Hakata, bought the time necessary for luck to arrive. If you learned something new about the thin line between annihilation and a miracle, make sure to destroy that like button. Share this video with a friend who thinks they know medieval history, because I guarantee they do not know the full scale of this story. And if you want to be on the front lines for our next deep dive into the archives, hit subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss a briefing. Because sometimes, the most powerful weapon in war isn't a sword, or a bomb, or an army. It is simply the wind.